What if the way you pay for groceries, dine out, maybe even pay for gas, could one day put you in a business class seat flying over the Atlantic, headed to Europe?
And that is exactly what we do. And today we're going to show you how to earn and use airline points and miles from credit cards and how to actually find the best flights to use them on with our favorite tool, Seats.Aero.
Hello and welcome, fellow adventurers, to the Travel Inspired Podcast. We are, of course, your travel agent hosts and best-selling authors, Rob and Kerri Stuart, and we are coming to you from the CMV studio right next to Disney in beautiful Windermere, Florida. This is episode number 169. 169, that's a lot. Our insider guide to airline points, miles, and credit cards.
And thank you so much for tuning in. If you are new to this show, then welcome. Our goal is to inspire you to travel to new places and also to experience new ways to travel.
On our river cruise adventure last month, we met a listener and we'd like to give her a shout out. She is a travel agent as well, living in Colorado. And we even learned we have a mutual travel agent
that was
friend.
So fun.
So hello to Sandy and Tom in Colorado. And thank you so much for being a great friend and a loyal listener.
Now, before we dive into our travel tips, we have to start with our number one and really non-negotiable rule when it comes to what we're going to talk about today. You absolutely have to pay off whatever credit card you are using every month so that you don't accrue interest.
Well, because if you're not paying them off and you're getting interest, it really negates everything we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, so we just got back from our longest trip ever, I think. Like, we were gone from home forever.
It definitely was, yeah.
3 weeks in Europe, and the first of 3 trips this year. Well, so far, I mean, we may be doing a Christmas markets cruise to Europe later. Okay, so maybe 4, I don't know.
So far on the book. So one thing, again, is pretty much non-negotiable for us is if we're going to go to Europe, then we're going to be in business class, at least for the flight that takes us over the ocean. And sometimes that means doing a flight within the U.S. to get to that airport that will take us nonstop across the Atlantic. That is called a repositioning flight. Basically, it's a domestic flight that gets you to the airport where you're going to fly to Europe nonstop.
So now, for the flights within the U.S., unless we're going from like Florida to California, we're okay in peasant class.
Okay, wait, there's a story behind peasant class. And it's more of an inside joke between Kerri and I and our niece Kylie. So a few years ago, actually, it was 4 years ago, I just saw the memory pop up. Kylie was down here visiting us, a 16-year-old that said, for my vacation, I want to go hang with my favorite aunt and uncle, which I thought was very cool.
Yes.
So we took her over to Hollywood Studios, and we were going to go on Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run, and we bought Lightning Lane for that day.
That's the Fast Pass.
The Fast Pass. And we were walking past everybody, and Kylie was asking, why is everybody standing down there and we're walking up here past them? I said, oh, that's peasant class.
Yeah. Now, it's not derogatory, so don't freak out. It's just a funny little inside joke among friends and family.
And it's absolutely what we say. If you're not in business class, you're in peasant class.
And hey, we fly peasant class enough.
Oh, I hate that. So here are the topics we're going to cover today. And you can go ahead and write these down if you're not driving. Number 1 is your credit score. Number 2 is understanding the points and the categories of those points. The 2 best credit cards to get, where to search for your flights, and finally, your action plan.
And there are plenty of very in-depth courses on this subject, and many of those courses are also going to teach you how to use points for hotels, maybe some other things. And the only way we would ever use points for hotels, though, for us, is if we were never going to fly again.
Which, of course, is not the case.
I love using the points for flights.
It's really how we use them. So a few years ago, I bought one of those courses, and it was probably a couple $100, I think. I don't know the exact number. But I bought it before knowing this very important starting place, and that is your credit score. And that really was the starting point for this entire journey. I wanted to do this at the time, but I did not have the credit score to get the right card. And if you can't get the right card, nothing else that we say on the show is going to matter.
Yeah. And you know what? This probably will seem obvious to some of you, but to get the very best cards with the very best sign-up bonuses, which they call subs, which we'll get into, you need to have a very good credit score.
So if you have not checked your credit score recently, step number 1 is this: go check your credit. Now, There is a free site that you can go to, and I've used this over the years, but it's not that reliable. It's called Credit Karma, and it's Karma with a K, creditkarma.com. And the challenge is they use what's called a Vantage score, which I found out the hard way. Pretty much no lender, no bank, no car loan company, no credit card company actually uses.
Yeah. And what pretty much everyone uses, though, is called the FICO score. And the difference between the two numbers can be substantial.
Okay, they can be, and
Yes.
they are. I remember back in the day, I'm using Credit Karma, and I was trying to do a couple things. I was trying to finance a car. I was trying to do a few other things. I'm like, no, my credit score is this, and then Lynn would be like, no, we're seeing this. And that's when I first learned about the difference between the two. So at this time, I just checked today, actually yesterday, my FICO score is over 60 points higher across the bureaus than my Credit Karma score.
And you know what? That is huge, to say the least, because a few months ago, back in November, we had paid off a car loan and the credit union reported us as being late, even though we had paid it off. And we were like, that's not possible. The car was paid off.
And this is, please learn from this. And they said, oh, no, you had a late payment in November. I said, no, that's when we paid the car off. And they said, well, you made a payment that went to principal, but you didn't make the regular car payment. And this is when I realized all the banks, the credit unions, they think they're right even when they're wrong. And the worst part is they don't even care.
I know. And how we know that they were wrong is we were on auto pay. So we didn't make any extra payments that were supposed to go to principals versus the regular payment. Now, they did fix it, but not without a lot of effort on your part.
Correct.
And the bank said, well, it's really not our fault, but you're a good customer. We'll fix it. And I'm like, it's your computer's fault.
So and here's where you really have to pay attention to the details because they fix it on 2 of the 3 bureaus. And here's where you really have to pay attention to the details because they fixed it on 2 of the 3 bureaus. And the bureau that wasn't fixed was 64 points lower than the other 2. So luckily I called them and they fixed it literally within 3 days. They were very helpful. And so that low score went up and it equaled the other 2 scores. And I'm in the upper 700s, I'm close to 800. But the point was the one late payment on 1 of the 3 bureaus dropped that particular score. And I can't remember if it was TransUnion or Equifax. Instead of like a 795, it was down in like the 720s or 725-ish. And that is huge because if you're going for a car loan, a mortgage, a credit card, you don't know which of those 3 bureaus they're looking at.
Yeah. Now, through our Capital One card, a really cool feature is that we can see our FICO score, which is really nice, except it only shows 1 of the 3 bureaus, and that happens to be TransUnion. So let's talk about the 2 main things that make up your credit score.
Number 1, and this is always number 1 in every list, pay on time, every time, no exceptions. Second, keep your credit utilization low. That means not carrying a balance that more than, some people are going to tell you about 30% of your available credit. I'm going to say keep it under 10%. It's even better. Now, we actually pay off all of our credit cards between 2 and 3 weeks. And we totally get that a lot of people are not in that position, but always keep that credit utilization as low as possible. Something else to think about is you want to know, and you can call your credit card, doesn't matter which one it is. Ask them, what date do you report to the bureau? So your statement might end at maybe the end of the month, but your credit card might report in the middle of the month. So if you're carrying a balance, even though you're going to pay it off at the end of the month, let's say they report on the 15th. And you have a big balance that you know you're going to pay off in 2 weeks anyway, the balance of when they report is what goes to the credit bureau. So you know, well, I'm not using all this credit because I pay it off. So you have to be aware of what are the dates that each individual credit card reports to the bureau. Again, in our case, we pay them off every couple of weeks, so it really doesn't come into effect.
That's why, though.
Yeah, and that's why we do it, yeah.
Now, we are going to talk about the different kind of points, though.
Yeah.
So there are 2 categories of points when it comes to all these points you get on these cards.
And this is specifically for airlines.
Yeah. So you have airline specific miles, like you have the Delta Sky miles, the United Mileage Plus, that are locked in to that airline. And then, and this is huge, there are transferable point currencies. So think Chase, American Express, Capital One, and Citi. Those are the most popular for the card issuers. And those are the ones that really give you flexibility, like good flexibility.
Right. Now, keep in mind, we're not talking about the miles you earn from flying that particular airline. We're talking about the miles if you have an airline-specific credit card. So I'll give you an example, like with Chase Ultimate Rewards, you can transfer to United, Southwest, BA, British Airways, Air France, Singapore Airlines, and more, usually at about a 1-to-1 ratio. So 1 point becomes 1 airline mile. And when you use those miles for international business or first class, the value can be sometimes 2, 3, or 4 cents or more, which I know doesn't sound like a lot, but that's where the magic is. Also watch for transfer bonuses. Periodically, the card companies offer a 20 or 30% extra mile bonus when you transfer to a specific partner. And sometimes, like last year, we're going to transfer some Amex points to Virgin, and they had a transfer bonus of 40,000. So if we transferred 100,000 points, we would get 140,000 miles. So always make sure you're staying on top of that.
Yeah. Now, if you are following, the next question you may have is, what are the best cards to get then? And which ones are we personally using? Because I think that's important, because that's our experience.
And there are a ton of courses and websites and Facebook groups and all this stuff. They're going to say, here's how to get the cards in the right order. I can tell you that was not our experience. So the card that we have used consistently for the past few years is the Capital One Venture Card. And as much as we appreciate the probably, I don't know, a couple 100,000 miles we've earned through them, we had this card for one reason.
So at the time, we could not qualify to get those really good American Express cards. And we learned all about the whole credit bureau, dumpster fire, train wreck, whatever you want to call it, when we were trying to finance our home. Because when you own your own business, it's a lot harder than you think. And I will congratulate this guy, because he did all the work, literally 18 to 24 months to get our credit to where it needed to be so we could purchase our home and do some other things.
And magically, once we purchased our home, so we refinanced it a year later, the credit card offers started pouring in. I want to mention specifically a person, I'm not going to mention their name, but I received a call from the American Express business department as we were getting ready, or maybe 2 months from closing. And he said, we'd like to talk to you about getting a card for your company. Again, we're just about to close. And I said, I can't do anything until we close on our house. And he was very nice. He didn't pressure me. And he just told me, I totally understand. Just keep my number, reach out later.
Yeah, and you did.
Yeah.
And I remember you mentioning that like a year later, we went to like refi, and you said, wait a second, I still have that American Express business platinum guy's number. And you called him and said, okay, so we're all done. We've closed, we've refinanced, whatever we were doing at the time. And you gave him a call.
Which, again, it was a year later. So that's a pretty long story to get to this point. But here are the cards we currently have. Again, some people say, get the cards in certain orders. And my opinion is, get them when you can. Again, personal opinion. You don't have to take our advice. So we started with the American Express Business Platinum. And ironically, shortly after that, they offered me the Amex Business Gold as well.
Yeah. And then the American Express must really like you, because then they offered you the American Express Business Blue, or the Blue Business Card, whatever. But all of these cards, here's why we did this. They had amazing sign-up bonuses, and those are called subs.
Which I would tell you, when I first looking at subs, I'm like, I don't know what sub stands for. Literally, it's sign up bonus. So in my case, if we spent $20,000 in the first 90 days on the Amex Business Platinum, we would earn 200,000 miles. And I will say it was exactly the same thing for the gold card.
Yeah. So this has now become a game. And I say, well, I'm going to go ahead and apply under our other business. And I got the same card with 200,000 subs.
I really did. I really didn't think you were going to get it.
Well, no. And then, so the thing is, you have to keep this in mind. Because of our business, we do have a lot of business expenses. So if you don't spend a lot on your monthly expenses, having multiple cards with big subs is not going to work for you. You'll
Correct.
never hit it.
Again, this I will file this under, we spend the money anyway.
Right.
And so instead of paying cash or doing, we put everything through the card. So then I got an offer from Chase to get their Sapphire Reserve business card. And now almost anywhere you look, the credit card experts will tell you this is the best credit card to have. It is. But they say, get it before you start getting the American Express card. Our experience was just different, and yours might be different as well.
Yeah. But as much as you were so excited about the miles and using them for business class airfare, I think you were almost excited about the lounge access, which is one of the perks from these cards. And I have to say, I was too.
I will say that is 100% true. I really hate sitting at an airport bar where everything's overpriced, the service is generally not that good, and people are so loud. And now having access to a lounge in any airport in the world, that, my friends, is peace of mind when you're traveling.
Yeah. And so we're not going to cover every credit card and every sign up bonus and which card you should be using on certain types of purchases. That would be a very, very long show, and we don't want to go there. So let's fast forward, though, to you've earned your points and now you're ready to use them for travel.
I will say earning points is the easy part. Finding the available award seats to actually use them, that's a whole different story. And sometimes it would take hours. And even with the system we're about to tell you, you're going to spend some time doing it, but it is totally worth that.
Yes.
So we use something called seats.aero, and that's seats.aero. And that changed everything. It's a third-party award search engine that pulls availability from, I think it's 23, 24 different frequent flyer programs, all in one place in real time.
So there are two ways to use it. Explore is your open-ended discovery tool. Basically, you pick a loyalty program, you filter by region, cabin class, and date range, and it will show you every available award that matches. Now, if you're flexible on where you go or when, Explore is incredible. You'll find options that you never thought to look for. It's great.
Now, search is your precision tool. You put in a specific origin, destination, travel dates, and they will show you what's available on that route across all the programs that it tracks. So I'm going to summarize it this way. So the same business class seat, again, we only do business class when we're using seats.aero. It might cost you 60,000 miles on one program. It might be 85,000 on another. So seats.aero will show you all the programs, and it'll break it down into peasant class. Probably doesn't say peasant class, but it'll tell you all the way up to business class. So you can see if I choose this airline or this alliance, it'll cost me X amount for business. And you can sort it by the point value. So you can say, okay, I'm going to use these points. It might not be the ideal flight, but if I can save 30,000 points, it's probably a better use of those points.
Yeah, and seats.aero has a free version that covers like the next 60 days, which is great if you're just getting started. But the pro version, which is $9.99 a month, that's $9.99, it gives you a full year of availability. You have more advanced filters. You can get text alerts and do live searches. So if you're serious about using your awards, it's worth every penny. I know that it is for us.
Right. Now, if you fly once a year and you're not even flying internationally, probably not worth it. So one thing that is very critical, and you have to know this, never transfer your points based on what you see in seats.aero until you're absolutely ready to book. Sometimes that data is cached and not always real time. So I will take a look at seats.aero, then I will go to the airline's website and verify. And until it's verified with the actual airline, I will not transfer those points, because once you do transfer them, you cannot take them back.
Yeah. Let's just say lessons learned from our mistakes.
Okay, it was 60,000 miles.
I don't even know where those are anymore.
We spent them on that stupid thing.
Okay, let's wrap this up with a simple action plan. Step 1, check your credit score. If you're under 700, spend a few months paying down balances or making one-time payments, getting that credit score up before you apply for anything.
And that is really, I think, the most critical thing that we've talked about is this will take time. It took me 18 plus months to fix everything to where we could get our mortgage. Probably take less time if you're trying to fix something to get a car, which tends to be a lot easier. But do not be over anxious about this and go, well, I need to have this card in 2 months and this is what I'm going to do, because it really will take some time. So Step 2, pick your first card, apply for it, and figure out what the welcome bonus, the sub spend is, by redirecting your normal everyday expenses. Again, grocery, gas, any kind of bills, anything you can put onto that new card. And then again, if you're not going to hit that sub, you can still get the card because everything you're spending is going to get you miles, but really try to get one where you're going to get that bonus.
Yep. And step 3, do your research first. Pick the trip you actually want to take. Then go to seats.aero and start exploring. See what's available. Let the availability maybe shape your dates, and then you can kind of do a strategy for that destination. You find the seat, confirm it's there, and then and only then you transfer your points and book it.
I'll tell you, I spent a lot of time doing that this year.
You spent a ton of time doing that.
Yeah, we have 3 trips to Europe so far, and of those 3 trips, we had 15 flights. And most of them were done with points, but I had to really, like, for example, we just came back from Paris, maybe at this point, probably 2 weeks ago. And the point difference from flying on Sunday versus Monday was astronomical. So we stayed at the Hilton Airport Hotel in Paris, saved a ton of points. So those are little things that maybe there's a certain day you want to fly, but if you fly one day earlier or one day later, the points are going to be dramatically different. And that's how we pick our flights.
Yep.
If we need to go in earlier or stay an extra day, we can do that. So we've sat in those business class seats, staring out those windows at the clouds below. And I remember flying down from Amsterdam to Marseille, looking at the French Alps. And we're oh my gosh. And we paid relatively almost nothing for this, or I guess maybe a fraction of the price. We want that feeling for you. It is absolutely achievable. Again, start with 1 card, earn the bonus, use the website, and take that first trip, and you will be hooked on this system for the rest of your travel career, life, your travels indefinitely.
Yeah. Now, maybe you're somebody who you're not in the right mindset about business or first class. And you may have heard somebody say, oh, if you're sitting in first class or business, you're only getting there 1 second faster. It's not that big of a deal. Those people are totally missing the point.
Yeah, I agree. On our last trip, we were able to sleep on the flight, which helps you arrive well rested and really does help with jet lag. And it doesn't matter which direction you're flying. So we had full meals and just alleviating the stress of getting through security lines because you can go in the priority or you have more space for your carry-on luggage. Trust me, it is so worth it.
No, and you know what? Just being able to relax in one of those airport lounges and then board first without waiting in huge long lines. And then also, I will say, it's not a bad thing to be relaxing in the drink. They bring you a little glass of champagne while everybody else is walking on. That's not too bad. And
something that most people don't think about, when you board first, again, you're going to get the overhead bins right over where your seats are. And I see this all the time. We boarded a little bit late because they called first class earlier. On our last flight, we were coming from Paris to fly into Newark. One of the biggest things I love about being able to board first is being able to put our bags right over our seat. Because I will tell you, you're going to get people that come on board and they're sitting in peasant class at the back of the plane and they see an overhead bin in first class or business class and they put their luggage up there. And I hate those people. You put your luggage above your seat. You don't start stuffing your stuff in business class. And then you walk back to the back of the plane. Because I promise you, if I see you do that and you do that above my seat, I will move your bag. And it could take you a while to find it. Now, when it comes to flights, sometimes the price of a flight is what stops someone from taking that vacation. So flip that question. If you can afford to do that flight at a reduced price by using your points, you have opened up so many more ways to see the world.
And don't think that you have to know everything about points. We are constantly learning ourselves. There are a lot of point experts out there that you can follow, but we wanted to share our knowledge as kind of newbie-ish.
Relatively so.
Yeah. But also, we've used these very strategies for all of our flights so far in 2026. And I have to say, so far, it has been great.
I think now is time for a little plug for a course we're working on that is called Airline Travel Hacks, where we're going to teach you everything from why you need TSA, what bags you need to take, how to book your flights, including all the things we talked about today. So after listening to the show, you probably have a destination in mind, and maybe you're planning on using some points and you want to help plan that destination. Please reach out to us.
Yeah, just head on over to creatingmagicvacations.com and fill out the Plan a Vacation form. So let's get you closer to that next adventure.
And until next time, stop scrolling and start going.